And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. Cause when you got the drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. You know, I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. You know, except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries. And you know,
From the Renaissance.
oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. Think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
The same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have.
The entire Bible is about black people. Not only was Jesus black, but every character in the Bible seems to be black too. Yeah, Zephaniah and Jeremiah and Jebediah, those all aren't white people names, okay? And Jesus wasn't some tan, partially melanated Middle Eastern person either. I'm talking straight up black dude, okay? Even in the book of Revelation, when you get the vision of Daniel, he's describing someone with feet like burnt brass and white woolly hair, and we've got the deep running water voice with the red eyes, and you guys, he's black. The Jewish people are black people, like Kanye was right.
You know, the DNA test that they've done on the Israelis that are living over there, they're Eastern European Ashkenazi Jews.
Without getting too semantic, or at the risk of getting too semantic, does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews.
So we're supposed to we're just being told that anti-Semitism is now criticizing Israel. Anti-Semitism is anything they want it to be. They can't even define it. They admit in this bill that they've passed through the House that there's really truly no actual protection for Jews, but they're just making it up as they go because they want to say, well, but Semites, which we shouldn't even be using that word anymore because most Jews who practice the religion of Judaism or who are culturally Jewish, even if they don't practice the Jewish religion, but they're culturally Jewish, like many are culturally Christian. Many of us celebrate Christmas, but we're not Christian. That's cultural Christianity. It is what it is, right? They can't define it. They're putting all these rules on us. We shouldn't even allow them to use the term anti-Semitism. It's not real. Most of these Jews are not Semites.
That's what the Zionists did, except instead of a baseball team, they went to try to convince the Jews that the Jewish people are a nation, like France and like Spain. We'll get a land, that's Israel, that's our stadium. We'll get baseball bats and balls, we'll create a language. They sat down to create a language because nations need languages. They sat down to create a language because nations need languages. They sat down to create a language. They sat down to create a language. They sat down to create a language.
I just had a rabbi give me an analogy. He said, look, imagine you left your home and then someone came and occupied it and then you try to get it back and then they went to the judge. Have you heard some of these analogies? Maybe you can.
Yeah, that's assuming that, that's taking it into a place which I don't usually go. That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago. That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago.
That's making the assumption.
Bunch of Aryan-looking people that comes from Eastern Europe and pretends that God gave them the land 2,000, 3,000 years ago. Right? And oh no, we're the real Jews.
There are Ashkenazi Jews who are entirely European in their DNA. That's why you're not allowed to have a DNA test in Israel, because it will reveal that virtually none of them are Semitic, virtually none of them have any ancestral connection to the land. I was viciously assaulted by a manager in the BBC who had recently converted to Judaism. It's fine. I love all religions. But you can't say I've now converted to Judaism and therefore I have a right to go to the land of Palestine and live in the house of someone whose ancestors have been living in it for thousands of years.
This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian. His paternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
Planned Parenthood was made by Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics with the KKK, to control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the people known as the race black really are.
Well, did you accept that black people, you accepted that black people are Jew? Or
I'll come to that in a moment.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
And you know what else, Jim? I just want to say this to our Christian friends, just to call it as it is and say it straight out, you guys are worshiping one Jew. That's a mistake. You should be worshiping every single one of us, because we all die for your sins every single day. And that's exactly what's going on here. Yeah. We're all God's firstborn, and we're dying for your sins right now because the Jewish people in the land of Israel are the bulwark against the orcs. Mm-hmm. Okay? The orcs are coming not to a theater near you, but to your home.
Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Stranger danger! You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israel, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, how old are you saying?
No, we don't have.
So many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites or you want to be Jews?
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
What to say, peace and blessings to you guys. Hope and pray all is well with you. Had to adjust my mic. Forgot to bring my mic in, so let me do some adjustments here. All right. And let me make sure my mic is sounding good. If my mic sounds all right, type 1 here. All right. Let me make sure the right settings is here. Let me make sure it's selected here. All right. Looks like the right microphone settings are selected. Let me mute this out here real quick. I want to say Shabbat. Well, it's the Shabbat already passed, but I hope and pray that you guys had a blessed Shabbat. Apologies for the delay. I was trying to get at least one clip ready for tonight because it's a lot to unpack. And if I have time, I'm pretty much going to have to piece a lot of this together. And I was trying to locate one key clip that touches or connects to what you see on your screen. You're the little Israel, right? The little Israel. And the title for this this discussion tonight is Little Israel, Minimize the Majority. Little Israel, minimize the majority. And see, this is one of the narratives, is if you really pay attention and you just do your research, one of the things that you'll hear as a common point about the 1948ers community, or the Jewish community as we know them, you will hear that the largest group among the Jewish community as we know them are the Ashkenazi Jewish community. They'll tell you that their numbers is they make up 90%. Have you guys heard that before? That the largest group among the Jewish community as we know them is the Ashkenazi community, the Ashkenazi Jewish community, and they make up 90%. Right? That should raise some red flags, right? And what I'm going to do here in a second here, I have a clip based off a discussion that came up in my feed with Dr. Michael Brown. You know, now you guys know for a while I was showing clip after clip after clip. You know, he's just a major contradiction. He is a major contradiction, right? Let me play one of the contradictions, right? This is him trying to tap dance and try to explain the origins of the Ashkenazi Jews. This is Sister Carol. I'm not sure if she's in the building, but this is her favorite guy right here. You know, she loves when I play his video. So I'm going to play a clip from him. Here it is.
You say, where did the name Ashkenazi came from? So a little over 1,000 years ago, as Jewish people scattered around the world had now emigrated in Europe and now were living in the Rhineland in Germany, they looked at the name Gomer in Genesis 10, and they connected Gomer with Germany, so they took on the identity of the name Ashkenaz. It has nothing to do with Ashkenaz in the Bible, which is a descendant of Japhet. It's just a name that was taken. Okay, it's that simple. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Michael Brown, I am Caucasian,
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin or anything else. It was shortened from a Russian name when my grandfather came over at Ellis Island. The name got shortened to Brown. It's just a name. That's all it is. So the idea that Ashkenazi Jews are descended from Yafet is a myth, 100% false, zero truth to it. Just study the history.
All right. So did you guys catch the major contradictions just in that statement alone? Did you hear how he was tap dancing all around it? But major contradictions. And that's what he does. He's just a major contradiction of disseminating information. I have other clips, you know, and if I have matter of fact, let me see if I could find this other clip. This is him, right? Trying to go at Candace Owens, because Candace Owens talked about the Khazars, right? And so he made a video anticipating that she was going to be shut down by Rabbi Shmuley, right? You guys remember Rabbi Shmuley? I'll play a clip from him real quick so you guys can understand Rabbi Shmuley. That was one of the viral shutdowns that helped reestablish Candace Owens on social media. But you guys remember this by this guy, Rabbi Shmuley.
And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
And I'm speaking.
So she really gave him, like we would say back in the day, the smackdown. She really gave him the beatdown. So she really went viral, and that helped reestablish her on social media, right? So let me play another clip of Dr. Brown, because prior to that interaction, that debate that they had, he released, you know, he did a video, right? Before and after. Before the video, he was anticipating that the Rabbi Shmuley was going to wipe the floor with Candace Owens, right? And it's all recorded here. I saved the clips and I posted them here. And then how he changed his tune the very next day, or should I say after the interaction. It was bad. You know, you guys already saw the results of it. Candace Owens really, like we would say, gave him the business, you know. But let me see if I can pull it up here. Like I said, he's just filled with major contradictions, right? And I'm going to share another contradiction of his. This is, if I could find the one with the Candace Owens, I'll play it. But I do want to play this, see if I could get this video uploaded. This is dealing with the Khazarians, right? This is his contradiction. The Scythians, he just contradiction after contradiction. I just can't even keep up with them. So let me upload. I'm just looking here. Let me upload these two right here. I'm going to upload his Scythian, the Scythians, because one of the common things that he would say is that they just disappeared, right? So let me upload that one. And we already saw this is the excitement. I think I have that one here. So let me highlight that one here. This is his excitement in anticipating that Candace Owens was going to be handed the business, so to speak. And while we do that, let me see if this is the right Khazarian contradiction. Yeah, let me highlight that one. So I'm going to upload these 3 videos as we continue here. And like I said, he's just a major contradiction. And I'll play the video shortly of a discussion he had with what is his name? I know he went by Deacon Destruction or something like that. Then he changed to Genesis something. I can't remember. I mean, and now he goes under a different name, a priest Halak or something like that. So he's been making some transitions, but he was having a discussion with Dr. Brown, and he asked him some questions about, when it regards to our community being the people of the book. And you're going to hear how Dr. Brown tap dances. And matter of fact, while these videos are uploading, I am going to drop this link in the chat for Berean Scholar. If you are in the building and you want to jump in or jump on rather, feel free to do so. Where is, all right, there we go. I'm going to drop this in the chat right now. Where's my chat? All right, there we go. Here we go. There it is. So let's see if all the videos came up. All right. YouTube is doing their thing. We're trying to limit the amount of videos. Not YouTube, now it's StreamYard, because between YouTube and StreamYard, they do all kinds of crazy stuff to try to limit my uploads and interactions. So let me do something here. What is this one? I'm going to remove this one. All right. Let me play you this clip right here. This is his contradiction. Well, actually, this is his excitement about Candace Owens. And I believe in this video, I show the before and after. Peep this out.
By the way, my friend and colleague, Rabbi Shmuley, is scheduled to debate Candace Owen on Piers Morgan Uncensored tonight. So I shot him a note with some thoughts and suggestions, and I imagine it's going to be pretty lively and pretty intense, so may the truth triumph. Maybe we'll play some excerpts. I'm sure the smoke is going to be rising there. Maybe we'll play some excerpts next week. A few thoughts on the debate that aired yesterday on Piers Morgan Uncensored between Rabbi Shmuley Boteach and Candace Owens. I'm not going to do a deep dive on that, but a few comments I do want to make and play one representative clip for you. What
we're going to do right here is go back.
Maybe we'll play some excerpts. I'm sure the smoke is going to be rising there. Maybe we'll play some excerpts next week. A few thoughts on the debate that aired yesterday on Piers Morgan Uncensored between Rabbi Shmuley Boteach and Candace Owens. I'm not going to do a deep dive on that, but a few comments I do want to make and play one representative clip for you. Yep. Hey, Mom, Dad, have you ever had that with your kids? Say something nice about your brother or your sister?
Family, you see the contrast. It was a before and after video. He said that he was going to play excerpts from it because he anticipated on basically beating her down, and afterwards you saw the change up. He was, even how he closed it out when he said, "Hey, Mom," that's all he said. He made no references to the video. That's how he closed it out. He didn't even get into any details. He just tried to treat it as if it was like two kids having a discussion or something to that effect. But you see, he went from one extreme to the other, anticipating on giving Candace Owens the business as far as Rabbi Shmuley. Right? But he's filled with contradictions. Here's a contradiction about the Scythians, right? Listen to what he says about the Scythians.
Who are they then? For Herodotus, so a famous historian in time before Jesus, these people came to be called the Scythians or Scythians, right? We could read through the rest of that in detail, but this has nothing to do with Israel. This has nothing to do with the Jewish people. This has nothing to do with Ashkenazi Jews today. It was an ancient people called the Scythians or Scythians, and they leave society, they disappear, they're all gone a couple thousand years ago. This has nothing to do with Ashkenazi Jews today. It was an ancient people called the Scythians or Scythians, and they leave society, they disappear, they're all gone a couple thousand years ago. They're all gone a couple thousand years ago. They're all gone a couple thousand years ago.
You see the contradictions after contradictions. I mean, I got a list of them, you know, because I was going in on him for a while, to the point that it was like, okay, you know, let me just transition. You know, don't want to sound like I'm like the old school would say, taking advantage of someone that I know that I can beat, so to speak. Berean Scholar, I see you in the background here. I want to say shout outs to you. How you doing, my brother?
Shalom, man. You don't know how much I love seeing that guy trip over his words.
I mean, he is like the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
You know, and family, it's just that bad. You know, when I say I have so many clips, I have so many clips. Now peep this out. This is him tripping over the Khazars, right? He's supposed to be responded to Candace Owens, because family, contrary to what you guys think and believe, one thing you have to give Candace Owens credit for, she was giving him the business. She was giving this guy the business. She was giving Rabbi Shmuley the business. She was giving Rabbi Barkley the business. She's giving what's his name, Ben Shapiro the business. She's giving these guys the business. You got to give her credit. Give credit where credit is due. But listen to Dr. Brown. This is him trying to respond to Candace Owens, as well as two pastors, evangelical pastors. You guys heard me. Well, I didn't play their clip yet. I'll play a piece of their clip, and then you'll hear what triggered them, right? So let me let you hear these two evangelical pastors have a very popular podcast. And so Dr. Brown was responding to them, as well as Candace Owens, regarding the Khazars. So I'm going to play a little bit of the evangelicals, and then I'll play Dr. Brown. Here we go.
And so when he's saying he's coming to redeem, while he would say, redeem Israel, oh God, out of all their troubles. First thing they need to be redeemed at, more dangerous than Hamas, more dangerous than Muslim neighbors, are internal these, and there's another biblical name, these who say they are Jews and are not.
I was going to ask you about that. In Revelation 3:8, I think, I was going to ask you that question. Does that refer to this time, or can it refer to this time?
It can. It's Revelation 3:9. Indeed, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but lie. Yeah. And there's a different application for it, but we understand this is really there's a practical storyline I've shared before on a program maybe a year ago, I don't know, about the Khazarian mafia and the Khazarian Jews, and I'll just say the briefest understanding of it and how this applies to them, because it's about 1,000 years ago. Really, these are almost like marauding tribes, not like tribes of the tribe of Israel, but they're based out of the Ukraine, ironically or not, based out of Kiev. And these were those that would go around, take new lands, and they were known, they had brought the Babylonian religion with them. They were doing cannibalism, human trafficking, no boundaries, sex interaction. They were so wicked that the story goes that he who led, I believe, was a Tsar of Russia, when he had won a battle against him, gave him an option. And in some way or another, this is a truth that they were told, again, 1,000 years ago, you must choose a religion. You all are worthless people. You're not training your kids into any kind of civility, reasonableness. And he gave them a choice of the three Abrahamic religions. And the three.
That is one of the most ridiculous, error-filled, ugly, despicable rants I've heard. I don't know how else to describe it. I've got whole books on the history of the Khazars, a Turkic people that cannibalism, Human trafficking, sexual immorality, there's nothing in historical accounts associating them with that. That's number one. Number two, they were not forced by a czar to choose a world religion. Complete myth. You might as well tell me that Abraham Lincoln was counseled by Elvis Presley about freeing the slaves. That has more historical truth to it than this drivel that we just heard on a major charismatic platform, as Steve Schultz and Johnny Enlow speak. And it's one of the standard anti-Semitic lies that today's Jews are not really Jews, or Jewish leaders in Israel with Ashkenazi background are not really Jews. It's one of the standard anti-Semitic lies.
All right, one more video.
As far as the alleged conversion of the Khazaris, you can read it in Yehuda Halevi's book, The Khazari, that it may be true that as there is debate and discussion there are Turkic people a little over 1,000 years ago, that some of the leaders or some of the people did, in fact, convert to Judaism and then became part of the larger Jewish people. Khazars as a whole disappear from history. That's it. End of subject. There is no Khazarian mafia. There is not a single Jew on the planet that can be traced back in any definitive way to the Khazars. Zero.
Wow. Wow.
I could do this all day with this guy, man. You know, because you heard how he just contradicted himself?
Big time. He told the truth after he told a lie about it.
Exactly.
And you know what, Pastor? You have continued, and the others and myself have showed the evidence of what happened. He said there's no evidence.
And then he give the evidence. That's the crazy thing. I mean, he stands firm saying that there's no evidence. You hear how angry he and irritated he tried to sound, but then he contradicts himself.
It's funny. He reminded me of the character that Jerry Cloud you said. He like got the name. He said he'd rather climb up a tree to lie than stay on the ground and tell the truth.
Yeah, that sound, man. Man, he just, like I said, he's just a walking contradiction. Contradiction.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, he had a discussion, and I was sitting here like, you got to be kidding me. And it was just all over the place. So, family, it's about a 4-minute video. And what I'll do is I'll hit pause in between so that way we could kind of dissect it. And then we can, I could pull sources from some of my other presentations to further prove that these guys they just completely lie, and they tell the lie so much that they'll have you questioning whether or not if it's a lie or the truth.
Yes.
But that's part of the game plan, right? With Karl Rove, who helped get Bush Jr. elected, that's what he said. He said, just keep telling the lie over and over again to the people who accept it as truth. That's what you see this current commander in chief doing.
The politics, religion, news has pushed that theory again and again since we've been here.
Exactly. So these guys mastered doing that. So as you heard, lie after lie after lie. So I'm going to stretch out the screen so that way, and Berean Scholar, feel free to jump in. But I want you guys to hear this, right? Listen to what he says. All right. And let me know if you guys can hear this. Let me know if you can hear this, Berean Scholar. Actually, let me unmute this here.
This is from the University of Southern Mississippi. This is released on April 15, 2005. And a Southern Miss history professor made chief in Nigerian royal lineage. His name is Dr. Douglas Chambers. And he speaks about the Igbos connect.
And real quick, he goes by the name of Priest Haka. This gentleman right here. So I don't want to disrespect or sound like I'm trying to disrespect him. So I just want to let you guys know, even though his name is cut off a little bit here, but you have Priest Haka and Dr. Brown. And so what he's doing, he's asking a question and he's using his source regarding Igbos. He's using Igbos as a kind of like a baseline, a anchor to say, hey, you know, the Igbos is recognized as being Israelites, and based upon that, it's documented that at least one out of 4 Negroes, maybe even higher, are connected to the Igbos. And with that number, what would you say are actually, what's the percentage of the Jewish community, so to speak, are we? That's what he was trying to do. But here it is. I'm going to go ahead and let it finish playing, and we'll pause and get your guys' inputs as well. Here you go.
Connection to Jerusalem. I think he does. He calls it the Igbo are one of 3 principal ethnic groups of the most populous country in sub-Saharan Africa. And the Neri is the Jerusalem of the Igbo, founded about 1,000 years ago. But let's just get to the last line. He says, Chambers, who was a graduate of the University of Virginia, said that he hopes his honor by the Igbo will encourage African Americans to find out more about their own family histories. My research suggests that perhaps 60% of Black Americans have at least one Igbo ancestor, he says. So according to that source, and there are some others, I see it as low as 30%. Some sources say 60%. So, according to your research and what you may have heard, and some of Dr. Henry Abramson's information he shared on his couple of videos about the Black African Jews, would you say that, you know, that seems accurate, or would you disagree with that?
So I would have to really look at that, you know, the Douglas Chambers stats that you may mention.
Real quick, family, listen to the double talk, right? He's getting ready to double talk. He said, I'm going to have to look at the stats. He's going to have to research it. He's going to say he's not an expert in this. And look at how he double talks, and look at the angle he starts off with. Let me take it back just a little bit.
Stats that you may mention or widely quoted, you know, about roughly his guess 60% have at least one Igbo ancestor. So the first question, what does that mean? You know, how distant of an ancestor, you know, what does that actually mean? So I'm sure he said it in his research. I have to look in it because I'm absolutely not expert in this and don't claim to be. All right. Mm-hmm. So
all right. So you hear him say he's no expert. It don't even claim to be. And if I can zoom this in, you could kind of see here. Tell me if you guys can see it. This is what he's reading. My research suggests that perhaps 60% of Black, at least, and it goes over to say, let me read it right. This is what he's reading. Could you see that, Berean Scholar?
I can see it clearly.
All right. So this is what he read. And he went to the Wayback Machine, which is good. But then he gets to get back to like the original article, if it was taken down or if they tried to redact it or whatever the case may be today, because that's what's happening right now. A lot of the information is being shifted, changed, updated, and so forth. So this is what he says here. This is what he read from. Chambers, who is a graduate of the University of Virginia, said he hopes his honor by the Igbo will encourage African Americans to find out more about their own family history, or histories rather. My research suggests that perhaps 60% of Black Americans have at least one Igbo ancestor, he said. So that's what he's reading from. All right, so let's continue to hear. Let's listen to Dr. Brown. Let's see what he says. All right, let me take it back just a little bit so you guys can hear it. Here we go.
Expert in this and don't claim to be. All right. Mm-hmm. So I can speak with some authority in areas where I'm expert, areas where I'm not. My opinion is worthless until I research. So I have to find out what he means by at least one ancestor. And then here's the other thing. Today, you have maybe a few tens of thousands of Igbo who practice Jewish faith and act.
All right. Now, family, listen to how he's setting it up. He's starting off with religion. Notice what he says. He said it's only a small percentage of the Igbos that are practicing the Jewish faith. That is not biblical. What makes an Israelite is bloodline through the father. What he's bringing to the table now is 1948, right? This is what he's bringing in, the definition of how the law returned defined what the word Jew is. The first number one is someone that's practicing Judaism, right? And then also, converted to Judaism and also born to a Jewish mother. So how does this mechanism work? Well, the first generation convert over to Judaism, right? They'll be considered converts. But then the next generation, the second generation, they'll be considered bloodline because they are born to the Jewish mother who is a convert. Doesn't that sound confusing? That sounds just like Dr. Brown, right?
Exactly.
That sounds like a tongue twister that I just stated here. So that's how that mechanism worked. And it was you'll see that posted on what the group that is called the Jewish Agency, which is an agency here in the United States. So he starts off with religion, but he said kind of like what's that, Living Color, my favorite comedy show, right? When you have Sister Benita But Real, when she was like, you know, don't nobody talk about Miss Johnson. Don't nobody talk about Miss Johnson. And then she started talking about her. And then she said, you ain't hearing from me because I ain't the one to gossip.
Yeah, I love that. Yep.
Right. So that's how, listen to what he says. He says he's not an expert in this, but if you want me to give my opinion, you see what I mean? That's what he's doing. Listen, here we go. Let me let you guys hear a little bit more of it. Let me take it back. Let's go ahead.
Tens of thousands of Igbo who practice
All right,
Jewish
let me take
faith
it back a little bit more.
Worthless until I research. So I have to find out what he means by at least one ancestor. And then here's the other thing. Today, you have maybe a few tens of thousands of Igbo who practice Jewish faith and actively talk about Jewish descent and things like that. In other words, it's what? It's less than maybe 0.5% or excuse me, 1/10% of the overall Igbo population actively is practicing the Jewish faith.
So, I
this
hit it wrong.
is
Let me go back here.
Thousands of
now, family. This is why it's so important for you to listen, because he narrowed he says only a percentage of the Igbos are actually practicing the so-called Jewish faith. So he's starting off with a small percentage. Now he's going to take that percentage and carry that over to the Americas, well, the United States here. And then he's going to dwindle that percentage all the way down. And that's the playbook. And we've been covering that. Go ahead, Berean Scholar.
And just like you said before, he switched it to religion and not bloodline.
Exactly. And man, even in this interview, I think I have it in here. He refers to saying that we have certain things in common.
Wow.
The Jewish community, his people, he says that they were enslaved. It's like where? Robert Knox, right? If you guys look him up, he was considered to be very controversial. And of course, by this community, because he made it clear based on science, based on the structure, based on the anatomy of the 1948ers, they did not serve a lick of hard labor. And believe it or not, they can tell through your anatomy, your build. This is why we're built a certain way. Like, and this is not throwing shade to any of our brothers and sisters that's over in Africa that did not go this path, right? Being scattered across the four corners, that, you know, they didn't have to go through that. But that's why you see our build naturally is bigger than theirs, stronger than theirs, because of the things that we were subjected to, whether it's working, forced to work on the cotton fields or forced to work on these sugar plantations. We were subjected to you're talking centuries upon centuries of hard labor. They don't produce, they have none of that inside their anatomy. There's nothing that points to that. And Robert Knox actually highlighted that. So this is, and like I said, family, this is why we're built a certain way. You could take the average person, and I remember a guy at my old job when I was younger, you know, we were the same age, right? Same height, same weight, but he looked like he was, excuse the term, we made up a term back then, said, man, you the skinniest fat person I ever saw. Right? But standing next to me, because we called him skinny fat, right? And then standing next to me, I have a natural what? Build, that I'm more muscular than him. And he's thinking at the time that I'm just getting my workout on. And I'm saying all of this, family, this is not to throw shade at anyone, but it's just, that is facts when you start understanding genetics, when you start looking at the anatomy. And the reason why our bodies are breaking down the way that it is now is because we're eating things that we did not eat at one time. We didn't eat a lot of meats. Meats was like a delicacy. We ate a lot of vegetables. And of course, we were forced into hard labor. Think about it. They out in that sun. They out and doing, I mean, you're talking from sunrise to sunset, doing the harshest of the harshest labor. Your body is going to what? Adjust, and it's going to evolve. And so that's why you had centurions, you know, our ancestors living for over 100 years on the average, living through 2 generations at least of slave owners, the father and the son. Go ahead, Berean Scholar. I know you sound like you're getting ready to say something.
Well, just to add to what you're saying, Pastor, just getting over here. You know, you talked about in the past the condition of being stuffed in a dungeon in the slave castles over there, and getting over here on ships that packed together. Only the strong ship was surviving. People was dying. They were, you know, they were tossing dead bodies overboard. You know, only the strong physical person would survive those trips and that torture. And then to get here and get tortured more. So yeah, those DNA was passed down. It's bred.
Let me do some here. Someone's trolling. All right, moderators, make sure you catch it. Someone trying to troll with Fortnite and all that other stuff. Right? That never fails when you start hitting on certain subjects, right? Trolls come out of, I thought someone was going to post something to the effect that, yeah. So, but anyway, but go ahead, Berean Scholar. My apologies.
Yeah, it's fact that, you know, it was a force, like it was a bottleneck, what they say, of only certain people made it through all that, survived that trip, to survive that torture through the transatlantic World War.
And see, to that point, they didn't just, family, if you understand, millions died before they even made it to the first leg. Just to get to the Baracas, right? That, or, you know, or Barracoon, you know, this is where you get the word coon from, the storage facilities that they held our people in.
Yeah.
But just to get from where they captured them at and travel to the shores, you're talking about tens of millions dying, losing their life. Like Berean Scholar said, this is just getting to the ship. Then once they got on the ship, it was so bad, it's documented, that it was sharks, birds, anticipating, following the path, the trails. And matter of fact, going back to the Baracas, saying that it was so bad that they would have 50 of us cramped up in the pen. And between the sweat, the sicknesses, they said you could see mucus pouring out of it. But anyway, I'm not trying to gross you guys out, but I just want to make sure you guys understand this. All right. So with that being said, Berean Scholar, you got the floor again.
No, we can go on. We can go on. Okay, I think we put the point out that we are built different. They're not like us. And when he started talking about what he was talking about, they tried to deflect it to religion. This is a bloodline. This is who we are. They tried all they can to keep it from us, but this is who we are.
Absolutely. And one point I want to make too, he started off with religion. See, what many of you guys may not know, because he tried to default by saying practicing Judaism. They really wasn't practicing Judaism. And that's what he tried to use even when it comes to our ancestors, and try to insinuate that they were Jews per se by practicing a religion. But nevertheless, if you understand what is called the Code Lenore, in other words, the Black Codes, it was forbidden for our ancestors to practice anything outside of Roman Catholicism / Christianity. That's within the first 2 articles, making it clear that we could not practice any other religion. And if you were found practicing any other religion, the slave owner can be fined and ultimately get removed, have their slaves removed. They forced us to honor Christmas and all those things. So I just want to make sure you guys understand that. And if we have, as we progress here, I'll do a search on one of my presentations, and I'll read and show you that within the Code Lenore. So it's many layers to this. This is how you know they were part of the agreement too, because part of it too was making sure that we didn't practice anything outside of the man-made religion that they outside of practice in our culture. They didn't even want us to go near, even potentially go near Judaism, because reading that will help us see that, wait a minute, this is us right here. But nevertheless, what he tried to insinuate is that part of the requirement, or part of his baseline, is that our ancestors were not practicing Judaism. And that is the commonality when you're dealing with this guy and others like Rabbi Shapiro, who interviewed the Igbos, who interviewed the Limbas, and he's trying to point it to were they practicing religion of Judaism. That's what this guy named Abramson or whatever, who's connected to Dr. Brown, who connected to Rabbi Shmuley, coming up with all kinds of crazy stuff in his way of trying to diminish the Beta Israel by saying, hey, yeah, they had they were practicing a form of Judaism, but it was outdated. So we went on and we sent them books. And that's why they don't want to accept the Limba, because the Limba, like, look, we're not practicing that, y'all Judaism. We don't need you. We're the original. We don't need to conform or convert over to what you guys are doing. We're the original. All right. So I just want to give you guys some backdrops, and we've talked to them. Kohen Hamadishi, man, that was I refer to him as my elder, because he was just that down to earth. Anytime I needed to reach out to him and get clarity, he gave clarity. And they got mad at the Limbas, because the Limbas was like, we don't need you to come here and teach us how to practice Torah. We are the original people. We don't have to come and justify ourselves to you guys. We're the original people. And the Igbos, the elders, echoed the same thing. He said, we're the original. We're older than you. Anyway. Yes. Let me go ahead and play it some more. All right. I'm getting excited here. Berean Scholar know how I get, right? Well, gas on the
fire. Igbo who practice Jewish faith and actively talk about
Jewish descent and things like that. In other words, it's what it's less than maybe a 0.5%, or excuse me, 0.1% of the overall Igbo population actively is practicing the Jewish faith. So we don't know, in terms of the Igbo tribe, what percentage of that might have some Israelite descent. And then out of that, what percentage of those people would have had a connection to those that came over to America. So what you're saying, it could be as high as 60% based on this, just using his figures. I'm saying it could be a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of that based on what percentage of Igbo might have legitimate Israelite descent, what percentage of that is then reflected in those that came over to America. So again, in the larger Jewish community, and in a website I saw, Black Jewish website, they put the number of recognized Black Jews at a couple 100,000. And then what's the African-American population of 40 something million? Do you know the exact numbers of 43 million now?
I think we're possibly at 48 million.
48. Okay. So almost 50 million.
Yeah.
All right. So 1/10 of that would be 5 million. And then 1/100th of that would be 500,000. And then if someone say 200,000, that's a fraction of a fraction of that.
You see what he did here? See, family, this is why we don't need these guys or anyone trying to tell us our history. That's why you have this other fake guy here. I had to catch myself. I was about to go there. You have this guy here. I'm just going to say this guy, right? Ralph Messier, right? And I don't have his first clip on here. I was going to share it with you guys. But he makes it clear that if you really want to make waves with Black people, you have to tell them their history. He said, one thing I know is that in order to what really resonates with Black people is when you tell them who they are. And in that deceptive 1 hour, hour and a half presentation, he said that, yeah, we're the people of the book, but we're the Northern Kingdom. And the Ashkenazis, they are the Southern Kingdom. And many of you guys may say, wait, so what? Yeah, we are. No, that's important for you to understand, because that's what they're considered. They consider the tribes of influence. The first king came out of Benjamin, the tribe of Benjamin. The second king, King David, where the promise was made to, in terms of there will always be someone within his bloodline that'll occupy the throne. That's the second king. And that's connected to Judah. Judah, the son Judah, the prophecy from his father Jacob was that the scepter will always stay in the bloodline of Judah. So next is the Levites. You guys already know the Levitical priests, they had so much authority, but all three groups were tribes of authority and influence. Apostle Paul is from the tribe of Benjamin. So my point that I'm making is they're like, hey, we're willing to concede the other tribes, but the hustle in this is that they want to minimize the amount in all these other groups. They purposely hold on to this 6 million number because that is a Kabbalistic number. They take the numbers is really a 600. They start at 600,000, and notice how he defaulted with getting close to that 600,000 by saying what 500,000. Then he started peeling it back. So when you start understanding them, 6. Remember, the mark of the beast is what? 666, which is what? The number of man, because man was created on the 6th day. Everything that they do has to stay within the confines of 6 million. Everything they say is going to always say 6 million. That number is going to always stay at 6 million, right? No matter what. And they were saying 6 million well before the Holocaust. It's documented. I not just played the videos, but I shared the actual archived news articles of them saying 6 million. That is a Kabbalistic number. They believe that there's 600,000 characters in the law, right? Those first 5 books. Then they multiply it times 10 because the 10th letter is the Yod. The Yod represents salvation. So you take this, the 500,000, right? Or 600,000, multiply it by 10, and guess what? Then you get the 6 million number. And they have to rehearse this regardless, whether even if it's, let's just say 5 people, 6 million.
Mm-hmm.
This family has so many layers to it, but that is a Kabbalistic mystical number. But we have proof when you start understanding scripture, because it warns us about what? The mark of the beast. It says 666, which is what? The number of man. Man was created on the 6th day. This is why we have to get out of this Christian eschatology that's heavily influenced by these 1948ers when you start dealing with what? This so-called mark of the beast being computer chips inserted into your body. Guess what? You got computer chips all around you. Your remote control computer chip, your car computer chip, your refrigerator computer chip. So what do they need to insert a chip into you for? When you got, even on your credit card, your bank card, all of those are driven by what? Computer chips. Your cell phone. Guess what? You can't leave without your cell phone. Guess what? You got your cell phone with you, computer chip. You got your Bluetooth, computer chip. You got computer chips all around you. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. And someone posted here, do they say it's 613 laws? That's right. Look at it. 613 laws. But the realistic thing about it, that whole thing right there is a mystical number that was made up. There's no 613 laws inside the scriptures. It's a mystical number. But again, they perfected this. The 4th beast perfected manipulation. That's the key attribute to the 4th beast. You see the word diverse. From a Hebraic school of thought, it means alter. It means manipulate. Yes. Berean scholar, you going to say something?
I am blown away at the attempt to minimize who we are. From 48 million African people on this country alone, not talking about South America or Central America, on this country alone. And he want to bring it down to a couple of hundred. Might be. Yeah. And we know the numbers of the slave ship. We know the laws, how many came over here. We know you and I. Between us, how many people we done DNA trace with them? They all went back to those same tribes. They traced back to Israelites. Of the people I've done, it was 100% of everyone we done had Israelite. I mean, that's a small section of 10 people I know I've done, but that's 100% of them trace back.
Yeah. You hitting it on the nail. You're hitting it on the nail. And even what it said when we did to your point, when we did the 23andMe, the ChatGPT, just decided to upload our results to ChatGPT. ChatGPT confirmed it. It made it clear that 70% of the men DNA was E1B1A connected to Israel, the ancient Israelites, not this modern stuff. It's all around this family, but they're going to do whatever when I say they, and I don't want to sound like I'm a conspiracy theorist, because when you say they, that's can be kind of vague when you say that, but I'm going to be clear. These people, these 1948ers, these entire descendants of Japheth, they are fierce. They don't care about who they hurt. I was watching an interview, and someone was sharing how they could be best friends with you and flip the script literally in the same conversation and treat you like you would they never knew you. Never knew you. Go ahead, Berean Scholar. Sound like he's getting ready to say
Well,
something.
those percentage. Let's look at this percentage. 70% Israelite connection, Israelite bloodline. Another 3% that the other three, the 30% that not. Those people are either strong inbreeding of rapes and other DNA that was forced in their bloodline, or mixing and all that. But they have somewhere deep back in that came from Israelites. I mean, that's what I'm finding out when I'm reading, because there's no way getting around it. They knew who they were capturing. They knew who they were bringing over here on the ships. They knew who we were.
And you hitting it right on the nail. You're hitting it right on the nail. And I'm going to share some additional sources here. Let me copy this over. And you guys already know this, but I'm just going to share this here on what is said about the Igbo people. Let's see here. Let me get to the presentation. All right. I'm just going to copy it over. And I'm going to get the black codes over as well here in a second. But let me do this first. All right. And I encourage you guys, if you haven't, go watch the lesson that I did, not right now, but after we finish what we're doing, go over and peep out the lesson that I did, that we did on the Spanish Inquisition. And we completely tear down every lie that this guy is and others are trying to promote. But I do want to share this with you guys. Let's give some sources here. So let's go ahead and pull up a key point here. Now, this is Dr. Brown's quote again. 1/10 of that would be 5 million, and then 1/100th of that would be 500,000. And then if someone say 200,000, that's a fraction of that. But I want to be 100%. It's like, man, get out of here. Don't try to say you want to be 100% accurate when you just spewing out a bunch of nonsense. All right. But look at here. Equiano, Olaudah Equiano, right? Because remember, family, so many different groups, right? From within the church and within the 1948ers, they were like, hey, prove to us that there were slaves, Israelites on the slave ships, right? So here's one Israelite right here on the slave ships. Olaudah Equiano, the interesting narrative and other writings, page 45. Look at what he says, right? While I was on board this ship, my captain and master named me Gustavus Vasa. I at that time began to understand him a little, and I refused to be called so, and told him as well as I could that I would be called Jacob. He made it clear, call me Jacob. And then when you read in this book a few chapters prior, he also said, call me Israel. But guess what? Look at what he says here. At first I did, it gave me many a cuff. So at length I submitted, and by which I have been known ever since. So this is where you think about roots. Kuta Kinte. Psh, what's your name? Kuta. Yep. And then before you know it, he embraced Toby. That's what they did to him on this ship. All right. So Equiano was an Israelite slave on the slave ships who was from the tribe, the Igbo tribe. But look at here. Look, let's give some context with the Igbo. Who are the Igbos? Right? What do the Israelites or Israelis say about the Negro Israelites? All right. I'm hearing a little feedback from you, Berean Scholar. Not sure. Hearing a little feedback when I don't know if it's speakers, but it sounded like I was hearing a little feedback.
I just that.
Okay. But nevertheless, What do the Israelis say about Negro Israelites? That's why I say Israelis, and I can give you proof why I say Israelis. Has nothing to do with the ancient people. It just means that they was born in the territory, but they're not indigenous to the territory. Anyway, this is coming from the Jewish Almanac. So you guys understand this key person that I'm going to bring out here. Henry Alfred Kissinger. He is what? Secretary of State. He is from the 1948ers community. That's why I want to make sure you guys understand. Henry Kissinger was not someone on the outside looking in. He's basically the third person in line. He said his position is like the Secretary of State is like the third most powerful position. Henry Kissinger, Alfred Kissinger, political science. Look at here, U.S. Secretary of State under Presidents Nixon and also Ford. But look at what he says, right? This is coming from an actual government document. I'm not sure if it's still up right now because the way that this administration has been making every effort to carry out the agenda of Psalms 83, the crafty counsel, right? But look at here, foreign relations, 1969 to 1976, volume E5, documents on Africa, 1967 to 1972, memorandum, Henry A. Kissinger. Look at what he says here. The Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa. He didn't say anything that was based off of religion. He didn't say a percentage of the Igbos. See, that's what Dr. Brown in his deception that he tried to push. He tried to push that, hey, based off of a religion that our ancestors, right, even if they were trying to practice anything outside of Christianity, they were forced to embrace Christianity and Catholicism. So they played a role with our ancestors losing their heritage. So he says the Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa, gifted, aggressive, but look at what he says here, westernized. Westernized. That's the issue. That means that he's saying that instead of holding on to culture, colonized. But the key is, do you see anything that says, well, they were practicing Judaism, or they weren't practicing Judaism? Well, fraction of the fraction. Did you guys see any of that here, Berean Scholar? Correct me if I'm wrong. Do you see any of that here?
No, I don't.
Any comments, Berean Scholar? You got the floor, my brother.
Yeah, and this is just one of many documents. I dropped a link in the chat, so if you guys want to look at it yourself, because it is still there right now. But this is a document that you can show people that, they know, and this is on the government website. They know who we are. And you're right. Didn't have anything to do with this religion. It's who you knew those tribes were called and who they were.
Hit it right on the nail, my brother. And you see how they did us, right? They have us believing that, you have to embrace a religion. Christianity is in on it too. They are in on the hustle as well. They are in on it. They partnered. The average slave master was from what? Within where? Christianity. The average merchants, which is mostly, predominantly, the 1948ers. They controlled the merchants portion of the slave trade. Family can't make this stuff up. Let me see if I can get another. I think this is it. Let me see if I can copy over. You know how you have so many sources, man. It's like now trying to remember which source it is. I think it's, yeah, this one right here. Let me make sure. All right. Nah, that's the one dealing with striking a Christian. Let me try this one. I think it's this one. Is it this one? I know I have it. It's just a matter of finding the presentation. I know where it is. I know where it is. It's in one of my old presentations. Identity theft. This is a old presentation. So if you guys see you'll tell by the graphics, but let me see if I could find it. All right. I believe it's on this one. All right. All right. See the Henry Kissinger. All right. Let me see here. Code. Man.
That means he passed the 1,500 mark. That little ding sound.
What's that?
Every 500 slideshow you go through, a ding sound goes off. You're at 1,500 right now.
You're not bad. Let's see here. All right. Let's see here. Is it this one? No, not that one. Let me go a little further back. All right, I see the original. Is this the original? All right. Oh, I know it's under the Christmas document too. The Doctrines of the Nicolaites. All right, so if I can't find it in this one, I know where to go to. All right, let me go to that one. Thank you, Berean Scholar, for giving me the suggestion, the recommendation. All right, let's see here.
The recommendation?
Yeah, going to my Christmas document. All right, actually, I got a PDF here too. The Code Lenore. But that, yeah, I don't feel like it's combing through 48 pages, right? But you see the 1948 is fingerprints all over that. I think it's this one. Let me look. Let me open up the old.
I mean, as you're looking, I'm going to reiterate some of the things you said. It's almost a recap because it's a astonishing amount of attempts to get us as a people to not look at the evidence or keep the evidence from us. But Dr. Brown has I can't say he's a master because he always stumbles over himself, but he's good at deflection. He can deflect like he tried to do with this guy. This guy gave evidence what the Ebo is, and the research said 60, 70. I believe it's higher than that. He deflect, try to do that. And that's what they do all the time, like you said, through religion, through everything else. They want us to look the other way.
All right, let's see. Christmas. You got the floor, Berean. If you could hold it down while I get this here real quick.
I mean, I hope that the most people, the article you got up, I put the link in the chat that you clicked on it and read it yourself, because These are things that are there that they wrote down. We didn't write this down. This was not a pro Pan-African movement that wrote this down. It wasn't a Black Panther that wrote this down. This was the Secretary of State of the United States, who is a AJ, who wrote this down. And in the article from the Southern Baton Rouge, I put that in the chat also. Those things that came from a person who's actually a professor from Africa. But those stats are real. They can't get away from them. And I think most of our people need to start deflecting with the lies that they are telling. Because I think some of us are re-saying and restating these lies. We're not a religion. We're not a Black Hebrew Israelite movement. We are people who finding their covenant, who finding their heritage, finding their roots, finding who they are, and returning to our covenant.
You hit it right on the nail. You hit it right on the nail. And thank the Most High, I was able to locate it. I'm just copying it over.
Good.
All right. It's not going to be the full, but it gives you guys enough to go off of. Let me just do a couple more things.
And while you're doing it, Pastor, it's just like the videos. Everybody remember the video of the rabbi who's sitting with the Igbos, and he's talking about, you know what you are, you are ancient Hebrew Israelite, and immediately he trying to get them to convert to a religion. He did the same thing when he sat down with the Libyans. He talked about them, what they think about converting. I saw another video, and I saw several videos. He traveled several tribes and walked them in length to see what he was saying. He talked about, well, I know most of you people stopped holding these tradition and not doing strict Judaism. He is back religion, but yet they try to say there are people. They in itself, they're doing the same thing to Dr. Brown. They're saying the truth out loud. It's a religion.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the nail. And so, family, I found the presentation. I copied over a couple of them, other slides. So when it says here, they entered into an agreement called the Asiento. This is the Roman Catholic Church. They are controlling the slave trade and how they divvying up, how they're dividing the spoils, so to speak, right? And of course, when we deal with the ports and the ships, that was controlled by the 1948ers. So that's why where you see Asiento, that is dealing with the contract. That's a contract, Asiento. So look at here. This is Slavery Remembered, right? And this is an article. I'm going to drop this link inside the chat so that way you guys can vet the sources. All right. Let me see here. Let me bring that to the front. I'm going to drop this here. Remembering, it says Slavery and Remembrance. All right. Let me drop this in the chat. All right. Before I read this, I didn't realize we had some super chats here. Let me give some shout outs real quick. I want to say peace and blessings. Septuagint, Maccabees, Brother Kelly. In the previous video, I made a comment and another viewer responded out of respect for you. I should have ignored their comment, but it was difficult. Apologies. It's all good. I appreciate you for even having, it on your heart to even say that, to present that. I appreciate it, and we, it comes with the territory. We're all beings, right? We have emotions, right? And, it happens. I've done it. Berean Scholar done it. Guess what? The Most High, he even said that when we dealt with grace, right? He that select his favors based off his emotions, how he feel, right? And that feel is, right, honor his laws, statutes, and commandments as we love him. Anyway, I just want to say peace and blessings. Thank you for the apologies, but it happens. We are family. We got family members in our right now. You got close relatives that they know how to get to you. You know what I mean? But when it's all said and done, you remind yourself that we're all family. Hallelujah. But thank you again. Really appreciate it. Let's see here. Live, laugh, loveness, Shalom Zion, double honors pastor. Thank you for the love and support. Want to say shalom to you as well. Really appreciate you. Justin Eyes to see Yah. Dr. Brown always uses the lie where he says we are supposed to be few, but leaves off being few among the nations that we are held captive. He starts with a lie a little over 1,000 years ago. That's right. That's what he does. And I have a video clip where every video that he had stated about a little over 1,000 years ago. I took those clips and meshed it all into one. He said that about the Scythians. He said that about the Khazars. He said that about the Ashkenazis. You know, little over 1,000 years ago, when my grandfather, came over. You know, that's just him, right? And thank you for the love and support, and thank you for pointing that out. And family patterns, liars have patterns. You just got to call it what it is.
Yes.
All right. Let's see here. Brother Justin he gave multiple super chats. Thank you again, my brother. Really appreciate it. Why does the Limba and the Igbo get so much attention, but not the Ashanti? We in the Bantu tribes, actually, the brother man, priest Haka, I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name, but even brought it up. He said, you know, there were other tribes. You know, it's just that unfortunately, that's what they do. They want us to minimize it. But there's other tribes that's recognized as being Israelite tribes, like the Ashantis, like we dealt with the Mamvumbas, the what's that? Some of the other groups, the Sonic people, you know, so many different ones. Lamb. You know, we could go right down the list. The Bambara, you know, which that name comes from the primitive root word in Hebrew, da bara, which is transliterates to word or command. So it's others, but that's the calculated agenda to try to minimize our numbers. Right?
And right, most of us Bantu tribes.
You know, and even clarity with the word Bantu, right? Bantu was a language group.
Right.
Just like Semitic, it started out as a word dealing with languages, but it was the 1948ers that in the 18th century made it into something else. So even with the Bantus, it was a language group, but I definitely understand what the brother means when it comes to that. But just wanted to give clarity on that. But thank you again, Justin Eyes to see. Really appreciate the love and support. Monica Curry, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for the love and support. Been really supporting the channel for quite some time. And thank you again. Really appreciate it, my sister. Thank you again. Family, let's show some love. Really appreciate all you guys, because again, had it not been for you guys, Berean Scholar and I, you know, we'll just be, you know, having a walk by ourselves, right? We'll just be on the phone, just having a conversation by ourselves. Am I right, Berean Scholar?
That's right. But we probably still do it, but we'll be by ourselves.
Exactly. Right. So I dropped the link inside the chat, family, and let's peep this out so you guys can give the proper clarity on, as you see here, Iberian slave trade, right? We dealing with Spain and Portugal and all of that. But anyway, as you see here, the Asiento, or contract for allowing to the subjects of Great Britain the liberty of importing Negroes into the Spanish America. This is dealing with South America, Central America. That's that whole area there, right? And it goes on to say, signed by the Catholic king at Madrid, the 26th day of March, 1713. Candace Owens, you need to see this, right? Because she talks a lot about the so-called Christian persecution, but let's talk about the Christians persecuting the largest and worst form of abuse, form of affliction in the history of this world. Talk about this, but look who's at the top of this. The Catholic king at Madrid. Okay, let me show you guys here. It says Portugal and Spain under the same monarch until 1640 were the pioneers of the transatlantic world war. Iberian ports such as Lisbon, Seville, and Cadiz outfitted 97% of European bases, slave voyages up to that date, carrying nearly 500,000 African captives to destinations of toil and death in Spanish America. We know the numbers were higher, family, but we're not going to focus on that. In the earlier years, captives who had first been brought to Spain from Africa were then packed onto slave ships in Spanish ports. We know who owned those ports. We know who ran them for transport to the New World destinations. While we keep talking about a New World Order, right? Waiting for something to happen. The New World Order been here, running full steam ahead, about to get shut down. That's what we're seeing right now. The whole New World Order is about to get shut down. By the 1530s, however, the trade had shifted directions as Iberian ships sailed first to the African coast for captives, then onto the Americas. After 1545, when Spain signed Asiento agreements authorizing other nations. Now, this is what I would further use to prove that it was a world war. It wasn't just some slave trade. It was a world war because now you have all other countries, major powers, coming into an agreement, right, to declare war on Africa, the different territories of Africa, more specifically on us. So when Spain signed Asiento agreements authorizing other nations to transport Africans to Spanish colonies, the scale and nature of transatlantic world war trading changed once again. Thereafter, the trade to Spanish colonies was open to all comers, and Portuguese slave traders soon became a more familiar sight in African and American ports. Before 1641, 240,000 Africans were transported to the Spanish colonies in the Caribbean and in Central America. But a larger number, 337,000, were deposited at Recife, Salvador da Bahia, Rio de Janeiro, excuse me if I butcher it, Janeiro, and other Brazilian coastal cities. Right? But it was signed by who? The Catholic King of Madrid, Ferdinand VI. That's the point that we got to remember here. It was a Catholic king. But let me give you one other point that I wanted to make sure that I reiterate, right? Le Code Noir, right? The Black Code. Look at what it says here. This is Article 2. Makes it imperative on masters to impart religious instructions to their slaves. Article 3 permits the exercise of the Roman Catholic creed only. Every other mode of worship is prohibited, right? 4, Negroes placed under the direction or supervision of any other person than a Catholic are liable to confiscation. 5, Sundays and holidays are to be strictly observed. All Negroes found at work on these days are to be confiscated. So they hijacked us. They rewired us to what? To force us to honor this so-called Christian Shabbat. But we have proof that I've shared over and over again that that our ancestors were honoring the Shabbat over in West Africa, right? That they migrated to. All right. But look at here. The offenders shall, let me go back here so we guys can make sure we understand this. Sundays and holidays are to be strictly observed. All Negroes found at work on these days are to be confiscated. The offenders shall be branded. Look at here. The offenders shall be branded with the mark of the fleur de lis. They also refer to this as the lotus flower, the Egyptian lotus flower, and should be aggravating circumstances. Capital punishment may be applied at the discretion of our judge. That fleur de lis also represents the the Pope that embraced that symbol symbolizes the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. See how wicked they are? They're using their so-called Holy Trinity. The image of that was the fleur de lis. You see it all over the place, from Stacey Adams patterns on the shoes to fences all through the church. You see that symbol, especially if you see some of the old architecture in the church. But that's the symbol right there. That's the fleur de lis. Doesn't that look familiar, family? Doesn't that look familiar? Berean Scholar, you got the floor.
And this is the code that they adopted from Europe and brought it over here from New Orleans and all the other ports. And that code, it was a way of life, along with a lot of, I'm trying not to say a lot of things I found, because I'm doing a lesson tomorrow about some of the things, the barriers they put up to make sure they controlled our minds, that we won't know who we are. This code said that we couldn't worship on the Sabbath. If they found us having any kind of religious group on the Sabbath, we couldn't have a group anyway. We were in a group, they had to break it up.
Absolutely.
We couldn't congregate together.
Absolutely. And I want to say this to Shema Yisrael, Adonai Echad. I want to make it clear, we don't roll with the Trinity here. All right. We're not saying anything about a Trinity. I'm just giving you the example of what that fleur de lis, the symbol of it among the Roman Catholic Church. It represented their Trinity that they created, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. We know this. The ancient Israelites didn't worship a holy Trinity, right? Trinity, that's, I'm not going to get into the details of it, but we know that you have the Father, you have the Son, you have Israel, which is part of the council, right? You have the angels that's part of the council, and of course the Spirit of Yah, which is who? Yah himself. So when people say the Holy Spirit in ancient Hebrew, is actually, when you see, wherever you see the Spirit of the Lord, guess who name is underneath that, right? It's the Father's name. It says the Spirit of Yah. So does Yah have two spirits? We say he's a spirit, right? But then we say Holy Spirit. No, when we say Holy Spirit, it's the Spirit of Yah, and we're what? Embracing the presence of Yah's Spirit. And also the attributes according to Isaiah chapter 11. So I want to make it clear that when we say Trinity, we're not embracing a Trinity. I'm just explaining to the people what this symbol means. Berean Scholar?
I'm biting my tongue right now because I want to say something. Because of all the things you just read about this code Nanor, about we couldn't do this, we couldn't worship on Sunday, on the Sabbath, we couldn't eat, we couldn't refrain from eating certain things. Then one of the codes say we could refrain from eating certain things. We could, and if you found breaking these codes, you get branded. If all the things,
exactly. And want to focus on the Trinity, right? And look at someone posted here. Wow, I didn't know you didn't believe in the Trinity.
Exactly. This is what they try to do. They try to condition our mind to make us believe all this stuff. They were shoving all this stuff down our mouths.
So somebody, look at there. Look at this. Somebody else. Wow, I didn't know you didn't believe in the Trinity. Why are you believing in the Trinity? That's not biblical. Just off the word Elohim or Elohim, if you want to use that word. That in itself destroys this whole Trinitarian doctrine, because it's more than just the Father and the Son. And I encourage you to read the 82nd book of Psalms, where Israel is referred to as being, you'll see the word gods. And that's what the Messiah quoted in John chapter 10. The angels are recognized as sons of who? God, or sons of Elohim. But nevertheless, we're going to continue here. If that's a deal breaker, go for it. Go for it. But we're going to teach the truth here. And as Berean Scholar pointed out, you would rather sit here and try to push guilt because I'm not embracing something even the disciples never embraced. Apostle Paul never embraced a Trinity. But we're dealing with what people have used to humiliate our people. You know that fleur-de-lis? You know what they used to do with that fleur-de-lis, Berean scholar?
Yeah, I do.
You know, especially in Barbados, man, they were brutal, man. Right? They would take that fleur-de-lis, not just cut the hamstrings of slaves. They also use this to castrate them. But not only do that, they will also mutilate their faces. How would they do it? Well, they will take the nose. They'll take that. You see the edges of this fleur-de-lis? You see the edges there? Those will be sharpened, like sharp as a razor blade. And then they will slit the center of their nose, put marks on their faces, cuts. And then they'll take their face and put their face over heat, over fire. So you know what that's going to do with open sores, fresh sores over fire. It's going to mutilate them. These are the things that they were doing, placing them inside barrels filled with nails hammered all around it, and push them down a hill. And you want to talk about a Trinity?
And if they're truly looking for wisdom, you did a teaching back. Is Jesus the Father and is he God? And I just dropped the link. Let's not get off track. Go back and watch that video and take notes.
Absolutely.
I dropped the link.
Appreciate it, Berean scholar. Appreciate it, Berean scholar. Appreciate it. So getting back here, family, as you see here, and as you pointed out here, family, look at this here. Berean scholar highlighted early on about the first leg. I think they starting to try to do something with the channel. It's like when you start getting into certain teachings. Can you hear me, Berean scholar?
Yeah. I can hear you now. It went out for a while.
Yeah, I think they're doing something with the, yeah, they're doing something with the feeds. Family, can you guys hear me pretty clear? Because when they start doing this, we start touching on certain things. That's when suddenly we start having experience all kinds of technical issues.
What you were saying?
All right. Great, family. Great. So go ahead, Berean scholar.
No, I was just saying you were saying because the information is there if they wanted to. I dropped the video, but we're gonna go on with this lesson right now.
Absolutely. So family, this right here, man, it's so many layers to this. And let me show you another thing from within the Barbados, the slave codes. Let me see if I still had it up here about what they would do. Man, it's Christians, right? If a Christian assaulted a slave and a slave retaliated, death. Let me show you here. If I had it here, I may have taken it down. If not, I won't mess with it. Let me close this out. Yeah, my performance is starting to. Well, my browser's acting crazy. It's starting to act very unstable. All right, let's see here. Is that what I want? Little Israel. All right, let me see if I can find it again. If not, we'll worry about another time. Let me see if I can find it here. I had it here. Let me see here. Barbados. And I think it's this one. Let's see. Good slavery. Yeah, remember they were trying to push good slavery? That our ancestors had it good. So they took care of us, gave us a free roof over our head, fed us. All right, let's see if it's this one.
Thank you, Arthur Smith.
All right, do we have it?
Stewart. You're right. That's true about Tertullian.
What's that, Berean Scholar?
I was just thinking, Arthur Stewart in the chat. He was writing the father of the philosophy is Tertullian, of one of the people who took over the movement that started this church. So that came from a Greek philosophy, the old concept. Tertullian.
Let me close this out. Yeah, it's the having had to call do it another time. Maybe we do it next weekend. Just show some additional things. All right, let's see here. He did a number on us, right? Everyone trying to minimize our afflictions, but they could talk about theirs under lies.
Even in the current political environment, we can always see what some the other people and they always talk about what they've been through and how there's so much a rise of hate toward their group. And anytime something happens to our group, we're overacting. We need to get over it. Oh, don't play that race card.
Oh, you know that they're gonna go there, and that's the thing where when they came up with the Irish with slaves too, that really took root while Obama was president. And unfortunately, many of our brothers and sisters were running with it because of not truly understanding the truth behind it. Yeah, I saw people making posts saying, "Hey, look, they don't tell you about this history." It's like, man, come on, can we not entertain something that is not truly vetted? All right, let's see here. I think is this it?
Some of that stuff, if people wanted to know the truth, you can find that you can find that stuff yourself. You know, 1760. 1676, Baker's Rebellion. That ended that the Irish were slaves too, and they weren't enslaved like chattel slave. They were indentured servant, or they were working off a legal thing they came over here with.
Exactly. Indentured servitude. And many of those guys was like slave patrols.
But the funny thing about that, Pastor, if you please, guys, look up the Baker's Rebellion, because it happened right in Virginia when the indentured servant whites and some enslaved blacks got together to fight back against the landowner, the rich white British. They said, well, we got to do something about that. That's where the term white came into being. There was no one term white there. They brought us, okay, we need to separate these whites from these black, and then they made black the skin color was a term for slavery. That's when chattel slavery started.
Absolutely, you hit it right on the nail. You hit it right on the nail. Hit it right on the nail. No, appreciate it, my brother. Appreciate it. Family, real quick, I know I mentioned this, and I want to give you guys the source. This is going back into the Barbados Slave Code, 1661. And these slave codes were brought over to this country, right? So I want to make sure you guys understand that. Didn't stay in Barbados. It came here to the country. They have all kinds of black codes, but this is the foundation right here. All right, let me see if I could clear this animation. I see an animation taking place. Let me clear that up real quick. Where is it? Where is it? Slideshow. All right. I guess it's not letting me do it right now because it's in a presentation mode. But anyway, so you see here Barbados Slave Code, right? But it says, if any Negro or slave whatsoever shall offer any violence to any Christian by striking or the like, such Negroes or slaves shall for his or her first offense be severely whipped by the constable. For his second offense of that nature, he shall be severely whipped, his nose slit.
Ooh.
Look at that, Berean scholar. You see that? His nose slit and burned in some parts of his face with a hot iron. A, being brutish slaves, they deserve not, for the baseness of their condition, to be tried by the legal trial of 12 men of their peers as the subjects of England are. Number 3, and it is further enacted and ordained that if a Negro or other slave under punishment by his master unfortunately shall suffer in life or member, which seldom happens, no person whatsoever shall be liable to any fine thereof. So they're saying if they killed a slave, they won't be held accountable. And you see where all this entire legal system, what it's based off of, what it's based on, excuse me. It's no coincidence, family. It's no coincidence. Excuse me.
Pastor,
Any comments, Berean scholar?
Yeah, just think about that. If they wouldn't do that type of torture to a farm animal.
Exactly.
They say that we were less than men. No, they knew we were men because they wouldn't treat animals like that.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, what's this? I was saying, looking at the chat. Yeah, I see. All right. Shema, I think is it Shema Israel going back and forth with Daily Repentance. Daily Repentance is a moderator. Respect her as a moderator. And we're not going to entertain all of, get these side conversations going. We're sitting up here entertaining side conversations that's taken away from the discussion when it comes to whether or not if Christ called himself the Father. Come on, again. Come on now. We got to stop worshiping baby Father Jesus. And I'm saying that as a joke, but family, this is what happens. And that is that spirit of religion, that spirit of defiance that comes with the territory. Because when it's all said and done, this is the stuff we really need to know. We already been indoctrinated with religion and it's proven by some of the things that are coming into this chat. That's religion.
Yeah.
You know, King Leopold used missionaries to carry out his dirty work, to be spies, to be kind of like the Mossad. The original Mossad was King Leopold's missionaries. They were Christians. But we don't want to talk about that history. So moderators, give a warning if they continue to be a distraction. You guys know what to do. You know, we spent a lot of time putting together this information to do this live. You know, you wouldn't do this if you was in school. You wouldn't do this if you was at work, at your place of business. So why is it being done here? Go ahead, Berean Scholar.
And if you were in a higher education, I mean, extra learning, you'll be paying for it.
Exactly.
This is giving free.
Exactly.
Thank you, Pine Hill Production. You're right. He was talking about he visited a museum in Spain and saw some of those torture tools they used during the Inquisitions, stuff they did to us to torture the human body.
Let's see here. All right, let's see here. That's right. Daily repentance. Listen with intelligence. Appreciate it. Let's see here. You was reading, which one were you reading from, Berean Scholar?
Pine Hill Production. He was talking about he visited a museum in Spain and he saw some of the tools they used during the Inquisition to torture our people. You know,
oh man, it's brutal, man. It tells you it's like these people, you have to be straight wicked, to come up with some of the mechanisms that they came up with. You know, going back to when we did the discussion on the fierce nations of Japheth. They're fierce, man. That's all they know. Anyway. All right, Berean Scholar, we're going to call it a wrap, man. Don't want to start sounding redundant here, but any comments you want to share before we wrap up?
I want to leave with this, brother. I mean, the Infinite, thank you for putting this lesson together. And we don't bring out this stuff, the negative stuff like this, but we do need to remind our people what happened to us and simply why it happened to us. They did all this to us because they knew who we were. When they got us, when they brought us over, when they tortured us, they knew who we were. When they were raping us, they knew who we were. When they was doing, we doing this not to enrage you, but to motivate you to dig in your history and shout from the mountaintop who we are. Now, when I say shout out, I don't want to go. I'm not saying stand on street corners and word it there. I'm saying that you will go out and show people that you're walking in the way of the Most High. That your life will shout out who we are. That you, the way you carry yourself and love one another. Love one another like you love one another in the chat. Respect one another. So we reflect the personality of Yahushua, who came to model out the law and the statute and the commandment and the words of the Most High. That's what all this is for.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it any better, man. Really appreciate it.
The NBA has it all.
The family, you know how we do. Berean Scholar, he spoke, and he really articulated that well. Can't say anything else outside of saying I concur. And you know, we're going to close out with what we do. Exodus chapter 14. Verse 13 and 14. Oh, real quick, let me give a shout out here. I see a super chat here. Want to say shout outs to Bethia here. Want to say shout outs to your elder. Really appreciate you. Family, let's show love for the elder in the building. Hallelujah. I didn't get the notification. Definitely understand. You know, YouTube is being YouTube. You know, they've been doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But thank you. And family, before you completely go to bed tonight, drop a comment inside the comment section, because that helps with the algorithms. And also now they have this new feature called Hyped or whatever. Click that out as well. I know that some of you guys have been having issues. YouTube has been disabling that, but press anyway. If you subscribe to the channel or believe that you still subscribe to the channel, double check anyway, just to make sure, to ensure that you are still subscribed. So they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Berean Scholar, real quick, because you didn't mention it, tell them about your channel, and then we're going to conclude.
Thank you, Pastor. Berean Scholar is there to put out the message, to try to wake up our people who are still sitting in these nominal religions, whether it's Christianity, Islam, or whatever. We will be doing a live tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For you, Elder, it'll be 2 o'clock. So we'll be discussing and starting off a whole series this month, because I'm believing that this so-called Black History Month, what we always do, instead of resetting like we've been doing all our lives, Pastor, I realized when talking to my wife, I've been to 53 indoctrination of Black history. 53 years of school indoctrination and media indoctrination, but yet not found out anything about who I was.
Yeah.
So we're gonna correct it this month.
Hallelujah. Appreciate it. Hadassah, thank you for the love and support. Thank you for the super chat tonight. Thank you again, family. Let's show Hadassah some love and support. Thank you again. Really appreciate it. All right. So with that being said, family, in the words of Yahweh that he gave to Moses in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 to 14, fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But here's the kicker, family. We have to hold our peace. And the Hebrew word that's inside the text is not shalom, and some of you guys would say shalom. The Hebrew word that's in the text is charash, which means be quiet. Can't go back, can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen. Genesis chapter 11, verse 10. Explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13. Abraham steps on the scene. Being the descendant of Shem, which is a fact. Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham had four sons. One was named Ham. Here is some explain. Abraham, Isaac was the Jacob had 12 sons. For real. And these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10. These were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.
Somebody better